In the past few years, I've researched all 8 Australian big cities and helped many clients buy investment properties across Australia. In the early days when I started, some of the properties I'd helped the client purchase could have been better. Although there were no investment losses during purchasing and holding of the properties, some of my decisions could yield more return for the client if I had stayed away from 9 types of properties. So the team and I spent considerable time researching the properties, analyzing data, testing our investment strategies, and using them to help our members. To put this video together, we've consulted our team of experts in data analyzing, mortgage strategies, tax, property laws, and wealth planning to identify 9 types of properties that you should never buy. Hi there, my name is Alex. Welcome to my channel, where I share information about real estate investment, economic trends, and wealth creation. If you like this video, smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to watch new weekly videos. Without further ado, let's get into it. A serviced apartment is the first type to avoid when buying a property in Australia. Banks are usually reluctant to provide loans for this kind of property. If a bank hesitates to finance a property, it signals a high price volatility risk and may be challenging to sell. Serviced apartments are typically located near transport hubs like airports and train stations because they need to attract short-term tenants. Investors purchase these properties and enter into long-term lease agreements with property management companies or hotels, sometimes for over 10 years. Hotels run these apartments as guest rooms, while owners treat them as pure investment product, collecting rent. Generally speaking, banks offer a 60% loan-to-value ratio for such properties, treating them like commercial real estate. Low leverage means the yield during the holding period depends on the management company's operation and market conditions. And when it's time to sell, the potential buyers are limited and tend to be quite savvy. So all in all, these properties stack up poorly against ordinary residential properties in capital appreciation, and it is hard to apply the 6-year rule when it comes to saving on capital gain tax. The second category to be wary of is DHA properties. Defence Housing Australia, or DHA, is a federal government initiative run on a corporate structure. You may think of it as a state-owned enterprise. Their mission is to provide housing for defense personnel and their families. Their main scope of business involves buying and developing land, constructing houses, and buying homes to offer rental properties to defense staff. They operate through a buy and leaseback model supplemented by property management services. DHA acts as both a developer and property management company for investors. When you purchase a property from DHA, it typically comes with a long-term leaseback agreement, ranging from 3 to 12 years. This agreement usually includes rental guarantees, annual rent reassessment, and a clause stating that DHA will refurbish the property at the end of the lease. DHA retains the right to select the tenants, usually defense personnel and their families. And the charge is 16% property management fee. It is significantly higher than typical property management companies' 3 to 8% management fee. As a result, the potential buyers are limited when it's time to sell, which usually means the selling price will be relatively lower than the market price. A similar type of property to consider is NRAS, or National Rental Affordability Scheme properties, which are government-subsidized rental homes. However, I also wouldn't recommend these for investment purposes. And the reason? Like DHA properties, the potential buyer pool is minimal at the time of sale, leading to limited capital appreciation. Whether it's an after-planned sale or a completed apartment in a large-scale apartment building, I don't recommend purchasing this kind of property in most cases. Suppose you're looking at an after-planned property, you may run into a situation where the bank is only willing to approve loans for a certain proportion of the properties in the same development. If it's a completed project, there could be even more issues. First, consider whether the buyers come from the same background. All Chinese, for example. I wouldn't buy an apartment in a large development where the properties are predominantly purchased by Chinese buyers, especially if many are overseas buyers. Such situations often lead to excess problems, as Aurora Melbourne Central exemplifies. These apartments are also quite similar in design and size. For instance, the floor plan for Unit 1205 might be the same as Unit 1305. Suppose there are 100 similar apartments out of 500 in the project, and 10 are on the market for sale at the same time. The seller is unlikely to lock in a client who wants to pay a premium price due to competition. So if you're dealing with an apartment project with a limited variety of floor plans, not situated in the heart of the city, purchased mainly by Chinese buyers, and featuring various facilities that push up the strata fees, you're looking at a nightmare scenario. Avoid buying at all costs. The most expensive house on the street generally isn't my first choice. There's a term for this, overcapitalization. For instance, the average price for a house on the street is $2 million, and the one you're looking at is a big and beautiful house on a large block of land, and it is listed for sale for $4 million. I would avoid it. Why would you buy in this area if you have $4 million to spend? You could easily afford a house in a more premium suburb. Not only is the pool of potential buyers limited when you're selling, but there's also significant pressure regarding property value appreciation. If all other houses on the street increases in value by 10%, this expensive house might only appreciate by 5%. From an investment perspective, it generally is ideal if there is a potential for further development. However, a large portion of the price tag is due to the home's aesthetics. In that case, you would not achieve the same margin as developing a lower-priced property. This type of house also isn't usually ideal for owner-occupying. For example, if you had $4 million to spend, would you buy the best property in an entry-level neighborhood or opt for an average house in a more exclusive area? Asking me 100 times, my answer will always be the latter. That's because the value appreciates more rapidly, the environment is more elegant, the people have a high standard of living, and it's generally a happier place. The definition of significant flaws is quite broad, but can be explained as those that make you frown at first glance. For example, houses with power lines running through the backyard, houses built on top of sewage pipes, homes that face a T intersection with countless car headlights flashing at your bedroom window at night, properties next to noisy highways, or those adjacent to pubs or clubs where you can see drunkards stumbling around your front door every night. Potential buyers will also mind these flaws when you sell such a property. I categorize such properties with major location issues as B-grade or C-grade investment properties. While you may purchase the kind of properties, they typically cannot beat the market in terms of capital growth. Suppose you've been following real estate news, you may recall the structural issues with the Mascot Towers and the Opal Tower in Sydney Olympic Park. There's plenty of news you can search for. If you need to buy an apartment, obtaining the strata report is a must. The report includes records of whether the building's owners have been in any legal disputes with developers and/or builders, whether there are any significant repairs required, but funds have yet to be collected from owners, and how much money there is in the sinking fund, the more the better. Then checking whether the building's exterior has cladding issues is essential. If the cladding is flammable and it's time to replace, the owners could bear a substantial cost. I suggest avoiding properties with such problems. In reality, many savvy investors were looking to buy such apartments with structural issues. Some buyers even offered me a very high commission to source apartments in Opal Tower for half the price just a few days after the breaking news came out. So there will be some buyers with high-risk, high-return strategies. It is not for everyone. If you're the kind of person who hates risks, it's better to look elsewhere. However, if you are an experienced and ambitious investor, it is worth investing time to do your homework. If the potential return outweighs the risk, then go ahead and purchase the property. Sometimes there will be an encumbrance in the contract. An encumbrance comes in different forms, and the most common one is easement. You own the land, but other people have some right to enter or use the land for purposes such as sewer maintenance. If you demolish the property and build a new one, the encumbrance holder's right cannot be affected. For example, a brick and tile covenant means you must use a certain kind of brick and tile as the construction material. Sometimes you must use specific colors on the facade. Most of the encumbrances will have a negative effect on the sale price and thus affect the capital appreciation of the property. Fewer owner-occupiers are living in a mining town. Most people either rent a property or live in the property provided by the mining companies. So the price of the properties is highly dependent on the mining industry. If there is a mining boom, people pour into the town, thus quickly lifting the property price there. But when the mining boom ends, it may become a ghost town. If you buy a property in a place like that, your property investment plan will likely be disturbed because the property price changes too fast. How fast? 50% change in 12 months, either higher or lower. Places like South Headland in Western Australia have a similar history, but people ignore the fact and chase the high rental yield of about 15% now. Even if the rental yield is 20%, I still would not buy there. I would rather gamble or buy crypto. The reason why we invest in residential property is to chase a stable and long-term investment return. Hidden costs mean expenses you did not know at the time of purchase but realized after property settlement. You may also call it a surprise cost. What the costs are always there, you just don't know it because you haven't done your homework before buying the property. Things like the referral fee that the agent paid your friend to introduce the property to you. Land tax surcharge, and vacancy tax are all typical examples. Sometimes you may not realize that it could cost that much to renovate. We generally advise against investing in these 9 types of properties: serviced apartments, DHA properties, large-scale apartment projects, most expensive house on the street, properties with significant flaws, properties with strata or structural issues, property with ownership issues, mining town properties, properties with hidden costs. Do you agree with me? Please share your experience and opinion in the comment section below. Smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to receive weekly new videos. Hope to see you soon. Have a good one.